So, a lot has happened. There, it's been a long time since I've done a video, and there definitely was a lot that happened in my life personally between my last video on the channel and now. Um, so, I'll try to give a quick synopsis, essentially. Um, So, near the time that I finished doing the last video for Hickory Street Podcast, our band was starting to play shows more frequently. We were gearing up to release our album, The Woke Olympics, and it was pretty controversial. Just even like amongst my friends group, I ended up losing a couple of acquaintances. I wouldn't even say we knew each other well enough to be friends. But yeah, I was playing drums in a band called Spacehead, and because of the album and because of my sense of humor about the whole thing, they decided to part ways with me. And it's just like virtue signaling bullshit, essentially. And then, like, I don't know, like a week or two before we were gonna have our album release show, someone made a page called DFW Blacklist and essentially tried to cancel me. I used to play drums in a band called Everything Is Temporary, and a lot of the posts in this page, like, essentially says, like, it's about my time in that band for the most part. But they essentially are try to say that I was like staring at someone and made them uncomfortable, and that like while we were playing like on stage, and then it mentioned something about me standing too close to someone at a show, and then it mentions me like following someone outside but not talking to them. And anyways, it was a lot of silly stuff. And like as soon as they posted it, I instantly, like, I took screenshots of everything and sent it to every band and musician I know personally that I've worked with, along with like a few people that, you know, we've either that's like either helped with shows or has been associated with us in some other way. Anyways, I was just really open about it amongst my friends group because I didn't know who it was coming from. Nobody would tell me. And there was a section of this post that was trying to say that I was like refusing to use someone's pronouns. But I mean, I'm like almost 30 now, and I don't go out alone, like, ever really. And I hardly drink whenever I go out, and if I do drink quite a bit, it's usually not ever to the point where I can't drive. Like, it's not really an issue. I mean, in my friends group, I'm the most sober pretty consistently. So, um, anyways, I knew I was fine. I knew I was of sound mind during all of these instances, and so whenever that happened, after I sent it to everybody that I knew, and was open about it. We still went on a tour. We still had our album release show. Everything was fine. But we came back into town, and were asked to play some gigs. And whoever it was that made this post continued to reach out to the venues about this. So I called Jeff from Killer's Tacos because one of the instances that was in question was at his venue, and tried to see if there was some camera footage that I could get a hold of to stop this from happening. And he told me that it only runs through like for about a week, so they only keep the footage for about a week. But Jeff was at that show. Jeff knows me. Jeff never saw me do anything strange. Whenever I go out, I mean, I'm quiet, so I don't really feel the need to like talk to a bunch of people. I'm an introvert, so I don't really care to meet a whole bunch of new friends, you know? Just, I kind of like my circle. But anyways, so whenever they kept reaching out to people, I was kind of at a loss. And I came into contact with someone who wants to make a documentary about me and the band. And so I told them everything about this, and they were really interested in trying to get to the bottom of it. So they interviewed me extensively for like a good hour and a half, 2 hours. It was a pretty long interview. And then she reached out to the page and the people that made the page, and they wouldn't they wouldn't comment. She offered them to interview about the instance, and they essentially said no, in one way or another. They like they responded to her initial messages, and then they were inquiring about what she was trying to do, and then just stopped responding whenever she offered to interview. So that sort of is like the gist of what happened between then and now. But there's a lot of positives that came out of this. One thing being is that I started a new podcast. A lot of people have been trying to play live sessions on my podcast, and at one point I was letting people do acoustic sets, which was pretty cool, or I was letting people just kind of like send me some music, and I would play their music at the beginning or at the end of their podcast. But now I am working up at UNT. They have a film studio, a full film studio with like a soundboard and like just like really nice cameras that you would see in like a news broadcasting setup. And that podcast is called After Dark from the Den. And From the Den is kind of just like a subtitle. But I will link that podcast in the description of this video. And Dean, the production manager, was also one of the people that I sent all of these posts to, and he's aware of it. And it never went anywhere, which is very fortunate. I mean, I've talked about this plenty of times with people. And I really think that they were just kind of throwing that out there to try to dig up some dirt on me or something, which didn't work because nothing new has come out. It's all been old. So, and my band members are still with me. They're standing by me. It's just unfortunate that this is kind of the day and age that we live in now. But I'm not really focusing on that anymore. I've been so busy with life. I started a new relationship, and it's been probably like the first healthy relationship I've ever been in. Besides one whenever I was like 21. So, I'm in the process of doing a lot of things. Our band is about to record our fourth album, and I guess we've kind of already started it, but we already have the drums tracked, and next weekend I'm doing guitar. We were going to record through a friend of our bass players, but he did not really feel interested in doing the project. He had his own like kind of set ways. So whenever I tried to like give him some direction on what I wanted on the project, he kind of just shrugged me off. And so that was kind of the end of that. But our friend Keelan's recording the album, which is really good. And I actually have plans for this podcast. So this podcast channel is not going away. Just so you know. It's going to morph, and I'm going to try to put it up on Spotify. I haven't looked into it yet. I'm going to look into it today. But I want this podcast to be a little bit more open-ended. And I still plan on doing music reviews. So I think I'll do the music reviews in a video format, kind of like this. But whenever it comes to the normal podcast episodes, I think I'm just going to start uploading them to Spotify. And once I get that set up, I'll make another video explaining what, or like with a link to the Spotify channel so that you can follow if you're interested. But the really cool thing is I have new gear now. I'm using a new interface. I'm using a new computer, and I'm able to get higher quality recordings than I was before. So a lot of cool, exciting things that I'm working on. Specifically right now, the band is taking up a lot of time. We have a festival for the new podcast that we're going to be doing annually now, and it'll be called the After Dark Podcast. It's going to be in Fort Worth at the Ridgely Room. We're going to we already have a food truck. We have 20 bands, I think 21 bands actually, that are playing on 2 separate days. Everyone on the show, including the person that we booked, knows about all of the Instagram page bullshit that happened. So, nothing's going to happen with the show. It's not going to be dropped. We're pretty confident and secure in that. The owner that we paid to secure the venue is behind us as well. So, yeah. So those are my plans for this podcast channel. I plan on continuing to do it, maybe just in a different format and just on Spotify now. But, every now and then I think I might still do a video on the channel. And if there's like a special situation that comes up where I want to talk about something with someone else, I might have another person on. But we'll just kind of play it out by ear, you know, and I'll let you know once I figure out what I decide to do with this. So, but like I said, I want this to be a little bit more open ended, and I'm thinking maybe I could talk about a little bit more like music, like the inside of music and bands, and try to interview, uh, maybe like try to find interviews of bands, and maybe make this a little bit more of a like a culturally like a cultural kind of commentary podcast in like regarding music, like the culture of music and where things are headed, and how we can make it better.